The impassive skies were neutral, empty, still. Then something in the inscrutable darkness stirred, a nameless movement, an unthought idea, insistent, dissatisfied, without a name, something that wished, but knew not how to be, teased the inconscient to wake ignorance. This is the description, a very wonderful description, of the beginning of aspiration. How in the nothingness, in the inconscient, stirred the first movement of aspiration. There was no mind, so it did not think. Even the vital was not organized, so it did not know how to be. But it stirred slowly to wake up the inconscient towards something, without knowing what it was. This is the first vibration, which preceded even form, the first beginning of aspiration towards the possibility of knowing. A throe that came and left a quivering trace gave room for an old, tired want, unfilled, at peace in its subconscient, moonless cave, to raise its head and look for absent light, straining closed eyes of vanished memory, like one who searches for a bygone self and only meets the corpse of his desire. This is still the description of the world created by division and becoming conscious, its origin being the perfect truth consciousness. In spite of its division, in spite of its obscurity, it still contains the seeds of its consciousness and something like the want to return to it. It was as though, even in this naught's profound, even in this ultimate dissolution's core, there lurked an unremembering entity, survivor of a slain and buried past, condemned to resume the effort and the pang, reviving in another frustrate world. The origin of light and consciousness, which it carried in itself, could not die, because it is the seed, the very essence of immortality, and that began waking up. An unshaped consciousness desired light, and a blank prescience yearned towards distant change. It is the very beginning of the aspiration, waking up in the inconscient to return to its conscious origin. It is the starting point, the first movement of evolution. The evolution that is the turning back of the inconscient to return to the full consciousness. As if a childlike finger laid on a cheek, reminded of the endless need in things, the heedless mother of the universe. An infant longing clutched the somber vast. Insensibly somewhere a breach began. A long, lone line of hesitating hue, like a vague smile tempting a desert heart, troubled the far rim of life's obscure sleep. This is the waking up of consciousness that Sri Aurobindo compares to a smile. He says, hesitating hue. That is the first beginning of consciousness. It is like a very pale light, and he compares to a vague smile tempting a desert heart. It is like a very faint light at the border of the obscure sleep of life. Arrived from the other side of boundlessness, an eye of deity pierced through the dumb deeps, a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. It seemed amid a heavy cosmic rest, the torpor of a sick and weary world, to seek for a spirit, soul and desolate, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss. The first vision of consciousness he compares to an eye of deity piercing through the dumb deeps. This look is like a scout in a reconnaissance from the sun. That is the symbol of consciousness in the heavy cosmic rest, the torpor of a sick and weary world, too fallen to recollect forgotten bliss. That is too unconscious to remember the consciousness from which it came. Intervening in a mindless universe, its message crept through the reluctant hush, calling the adventure of consciousness and joy, and conquering nature's disillusioned breast, compelled renewed consent to see and feel. That is just coming out from the complete unconsciousness of the stone and mineral towards the beginning of life. And this compelled renewed consent to see and feel. And then he says, its message crept. This is the first sending of thought into the world. A thought was sown in the unsounded void. A sense was born within the darkness depths. A memory quivered in the heart of time, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. But the oblivion that succeeds the fall had blotted the crowded tablets of the past, and all that was destroyed must be rebuilt, and old experience labored out once more. And then a thought was sown in the unsounded void. A sense was born within the darkness depths. A memory quivered in the heart of time, as if a soul long dead were moved to live. That is the memory of the origin. Then he describes the resistance. But the oblivion that succeeds the fall had blotted the crowded tablets of the past, and all that was destroyed must be rebuilt, and old experience labored out once more. In front, all seems to have been destroyed. It is only a seeming, because it is latent behind the unconsciousness.